So backbeat's a good place to start, but we want to get a little more out of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a 4-measure beat from this one measure with modifications. So first we're going to do is return this particular kick here to its maximum velocity. So I have kick, snare on the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. We have hi-hats between the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But it's kind of consistently boring. Not that it's bad, it's just, not interesting yet. So what we can do is we can look at what's here structurally. Kick, snare. This kick right here, I think I want to move it to a little bit later, so we just don't have the same thing back and forth. Let's move it to the and, so that's 3, that's E, that's and. So now listen to this. Kind of a nice little skip at the end there. We'll also go through and maybe put some open hi-hats or some pedal hi-hats. So there's a pedal hi-hat on the 2, E, and of 2. And we'll put one here on the of 1. We'll try one here on the of 3. But instead of putting one on the end of 4, we're going to take the last hi-hat, which is currently a closed hat, and move it to the top and make it open. So have a little more action going on. There's a nice little skip going on there, doesn't it? So let's make another variation. Let's take this and we'll copy it. So we want to use the same kind of starting foundation, even though we'll make it a little different in the end. So at this point, it's exactly the same. So what we could do is get this consistency right here. I have this kick and the snare, and I kind of like the distance in them, but these are much tighter. So I'd like to have the same distance, but keeping the kick here on the and of 3. So we'll just take this snare and move to the and of 4, so you have the same relationship, even though they're more spread out. A nice effect right there, the actual snare combined with the open hi-hat. So we'll take these two parts and we'll copy them again. We're going to do 4 measures in total. To make this one a little different, so it's pretty much the same at this point as the first one, I take this snare and I'm going to copy it to the I want things to happen in this case right before they change out to the other side. Then over here on this one, we're going to make a turnaround. A very popular turnaround is snare, kick, snare, snare. And what's great about that is when you have that one part, sounds like it's bringing everything right back around to where it started from. So if I take everybody, join this together as one big nice chunk, zoom in, see what we got out there. I like to start off with a crash cymbal, C#3, because I'm in the rolling setting. When we play it, now just like before, we had some changes and some options. Here's what it looks like at the score at this point. The score is a little bit messy because we have 3 measures on top and 1 measure on the bottom. If we wanted to clean this up, completely able to be done, go to Layout, Global Format, and it'll pull up this nice little window of your settings, and you can adjust things. In this case, this particular row here means the entire score. This one means individual part. At this point in time, it's kind of the same thing. So what I tend to like to do to keep things consistent is whatever I change on the score side, I change on the part side and vice versa. So to start off with, kind of clustered together a little bit, aren't they? So first thing I want to go is look at how many maximum bars per line. At this point it says 0, so there's no real set rule. That's why I have 3 on top and 1 on the bottom. So I will take this and I will change it to 2. Now notice I changed it in the score, nothing happened because I'm at an individual part. So I take the part here and now it says 2. That's a little more consistent. You can actually see a little easier to read, but I need a little more space between them. So that's line distance. Just put 1 in between. Like I said, I do each for both parts. Now there's some other things that can be adjusted through here. They're actually going to show up in the numbers and names option. First off, I don't really need to know the name of the instrument unless I'm specifically going to be identifying something. So I'll just turn instrument names off. The information is still in there. I'm just hiding it. And also, it's kind of obvious what the second measure is by number. So if I take step here under bar numbers, it says 1. Over here it shows 0 equals a line, meaning I'm going to get a number of the first part of each line, but not on the rest of them. So in other words, the 2 and the 4 are going to disappear here, but the 1 and the 3 will stay if I put that down to 0. There we go. So now here's our rhythm. Here's our kick. Here's our snare. Kick and snare. Here's our crash. And there's our hi-hat. So we can actually see what it looks like officially. So there's a groove. Well, let's save this so we can go back and come back to it later. So piano roll. Just so we'll start back where we saw it before. And we'll go down to save as. We'll call this Groove1. Something we can pull back later and actually play around with. Save it. And there we go.